I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now starting.
Allergy therapy.
Welcome to the All right, you guys, today we have Violet Benson on the podcast, aka Daddy Issues. That's how we know her. That's how we love her. She's just such a real one, and you can't talk about anything but mental health and dating with her. She's so passionate and knowledgeable about it all, and I sometimes I just sit back and go, yes, and that's what I did today. You're going to get a lot out of this podcast. I just know it. So enjoy my conversation with Violet.
I was never allergic to anything before in my life.
Yeah.
And then I got a cat. And I never had a pet before.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about any of that. And then when I got a cat, I started to get such severe allergies, and not just allergies where you're a little red or whatever. It would be allergies where my
like your throat was closing.
Yeah, I would start with either my eyes that start to swell up, and then my face would swell up, then my lips would swell up, and then it goes to my tongue, which I have to go to emergency. So for a whole year, I was going in and out of the emergency And
not knowing it was your cat?
I was slowly figuring it out. First, I'm like, okay, it can be mold, it can be dust. What is it?
Yeah.
And then I even finally did the allergy test, and I spent $1,000 on it.
And cats.
Lo and behold, my deadly allergies are to cats.
No.
I know. And then there was all these other things I'm allergic to that I never knew, which makes sense. Like I'm minorly allergic to wine. But now in a way, that allergy is fine. It's the type of allergy where I can get a migraine afterwards, and I get I get flushed and hot and cheeks.
I
red.
did a test where it literally told me that all sorts of dark red berries and all the things that are in wine make me thrive.
Oh.
So I was like, great news.
And the funniest thing, you know what else I'm allergic to?
What?
Oh God, what?
Can I guess?
You'll never guess. You'll never guess.
You're allergic to Kleenex.
Exercise.
No, you're lying.
Apparently,
You're lying.
I swear on my life, if I overdo it, I will get an allergy attack. But it's normally if I'm dehydrated.
Like what? So you're lifting weights and all of a sudden you start sneezing?
So I don't know. So, okay, I'm allergic to some trees as well.
Yeah.
But when I was going through my allergy stuff with my cat, and I know everyone's like, well, why wouldn't you get rid of your cat? That's what my dad wanted me to do. And because for a whole year, I was going in and out of the hospital. And not only do they have to give you steroids and the other stuff. And if you take steroids for a whole year, it has side effects. One of the side effects, I started to grow like a hunchback.
No!
So just with my cat, love you.
You're like Dr. Evil. No.
Yeah, I think I still have a bit of it.
What?
It's just the fat just stays there. So that's one of the side effects for me, at least, for steroids. But eventually, having and I tried to give her away where I was thinking of the people I can give her to.
Yeah.
But the thought of, I knew I was allergic to her, but at that point, I just thought, well, no one can love her more than I love her. I'm just going to keep her.
I would be the same way.
And eventually my body started to get used to her. Like now my allergies to her are just eczema under my eyes forever.
Yeah.
And I sometimes can have red dots on my fingers and my toes, and I just scratch that. And then sometimes, really rarely, I'll get the allergies that are really extreme where my lips and face swells up, and then have an EpiPen. But the exercise stuff only started happening after my cat. So she triggered all the allergies.
Oh no. I feel like that's just like a meme. I'm allergic to working out.
But it's only when I'm dehydrated, which one day I did podcasts nonstop in New York, I think last month. So I flew in.
Yeah.
I did a red eye.
Yeah.
So I slept on the plane.
Oh, God.
And then I did just back-to-back podcasts in New York. And
draining.
Then my flight was late night. And then, of course, my last podcast was, do you know Hannah Berner?
Yeah, I'm obsessed.
So we love doing each other's podcasts, and it's just always such a good time. So we're just laughing it off. We're catching up on things, and next thing I know, I'm like, oh shit, I'm late to my flight.
Yeah.
So I had to get to the airport, and wherever my flight was, it was so all the way at the end. So when I finally got through security, which they allowed me to, sometimes when you're begging security to get you to the front.
Yeah.
So I get to the front, but then I had to sprint, and I forgot to eat all day or drink or anything because I was doing back-to-back interviews.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really thinking about that. And so I'm dehydrated, which is not good for me, at least.
Okay.
Immune compromised or whatever.
Yeah.
So I sprinted there. And when I sprinted there, I start to not be able to breathe when I finally got there. And I felt like my airways were closing. But I'm like, no, it's in my head. It's my head. And I get on my flight and I can still feel my struggle to really breathe. And I don't want to obviously draw attention to me.
Yeah. You're like, can you drop down that thing from the
Well, luckily, you know, I usually like to fly JetBlue
Yeah.
to New York.
Yeah.
So
Is it the lay down one?
Yeah. So luckily,
that
I
one's
was in Mint,
sick, yeah.
but I was doing my best for the girl not to see me. But she started, and I need to cough because my airways feel like they're closing, so I need to cough. And this is, it was either last year or 2 years ago. So this is where people are still very worried about
COVID.
The pandemic and COVID. So I can't cough, so I have to go on a jacket or something and try to cough into it. And I noticed some people are kind of looking at me irritated that I'm even making a sound. So I went to the bathroom to try to cough there.
Yeah.
And I'm still, and I'm trying to do breathing exercises, and the stewardess notices. And she goes, "What's going on? What's wrong with you?" And I go, "Nothing, I promise. I thought I was having an allergy attack, but I'm not." And she goes, "Well, you have to tell us. If you do, then you have to get off the plane."
If you have an allergy attack?
Because I'm putting everyone else at risk by... Well, because she said if something happens to you, we're not medical experts.
Oh, okay, I see.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So you'll have to go get medical.
Yeah.
And the thought of, you know, I want to go home. Like,
Yeah.
That was, so I go, no, I swear I'm fine. And because, so as much as I'm trying to breathe regularly, it's hard for me because I see her looking at me every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was a struggle. And then finally, when she wasn't looking, I put the blanket over me. I took my EpiPen.
Yeah.
And I just shot in my leg.
Yeah, and you're fine.
And I don't know how to explain it, but if anyone has ever had an allergy attack, I felt like I could breathe again.
Yeah.
Like my airways just opened up, and obviously it wasn't bad enough where I needed to go to the emergency, thank God.
Yeah.
But it was just suddenly I'm like, and I could breathe again, and I could relax. And then afterwards, when she came to me, and I was ready to, you know, pass out because you get jitters
Oh
afterwards.
my gosh, yes.
And when she was giving my food, then I said, "Hey, don't worry, everything's fine. I used my EpiPen." Or maybe she saw my EpiPen, and then she just goes, "You used your EpiPen on yourself on this plane?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'm going to need you to sign something."
No.
And then she goes, talks to the pilots, I guess. And then she comes back and she just goes, "You put all of us at risk by doing this."
For what?
We are not medical experts. What if something would have happened to you? You know, because
But shit happens on planes all the time where, of course, they're not medical experts. But what if somebody had, like,
I know, and
an
I know
allergic reaction?
myself.
Don't give yourself that EpiPen because we are not medical professionals here.
But also, I know myself. I've had enough allergy attacks were really severe that I know if it's really bad.
Yeah.
Like I was aware that it wasn't, but I was trying to calm myself down so it won't get worse.
Right.
And then she had me sign this paperwork that said that I won't sue the plane, and that if something worse happens, if I feel something else, that I have to let them know, and then they will
Land the plane
at, I forget, it was like Wisconsin or somewhere. So now I'm like, great, because of me, people might actually have to be forced to land the plane. So after that, I just took sleeping pills and I just went to sleep. So
night.
Because honestly, my anxiety was only coming from the stewardess.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I've never even heard it. Like, I would just think she'd be like, "Are you okay? Like, how can I help? Like, you are putting the rest of us at risk."
Yeah, you know what it is? I have a really hard time ever taking a moment to feel bad for myself or to blame other people, which I wish I was that way.
Oh.
I think there's such extremes with people where there's the extreme of the victim mentality, and then there's the opposite where I'm always trying to see what I'm doing wrong.
Okay.
So I wish I could be more in the middle. So in my head, I'm more like, well, she probably had a really long day and she didn't feel like dealing with another one like me. So I get where
That's
she's
rare.
coming
Not many
from.
people think like that.
Really? I wish I was more in the middle, though, because sometimes I do need to give
middle
myself
would be
grace.
ideal. Most people are extreme one way or the other. I've been trying to work on that. I've been trying to work on okay, what is my part in this? Yeah, because we were taught, actually, when I worked in the restaurant industry forever, we were taught, like, there's going to be assholes who come in and just say, or they treat you like shit, but you do not know what's going on in their outside life, and they don't know what's going on in yours.
Yeah.
But you are the professional, so you show up for your job and you be nice and whatever. And so I feel like I've always had that kind of mentality, but it's hard for me to do that naturally.
Look, I think this is why people struggle with it, because when you say something, well, you don't know what they're going through, you think, well, that girl's a bitch.
Right.
I don't give a shit what she's going through.
Right.
She sucks.
Right.
So
we're like making excuses for people who are just being mean.
Exactly. And I think that's where we have a disconnect.
Yeah.
I think it's more about realizing that whatever they're treating you has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because one thing that I've learned, okay, here's an example. Recently, I was feeling as if everyone around me is so angry. The world is so angry all the time. Like everyone's so hateful, and all I see is hate.
Yeah.
That way I was making myself the victim in a sense, where I'm thinking, oh, I'm such a nice, sweet, kind person.
Yeah.
Everyone around me is just so cruel and mean.
Yeah.
I can't relate.
Yeah.
You know? And then I finally sat down, I thought about it, and I realized, well, the world is you pushed out, which means I'm subconsciously was being hateful on the inside, and I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't realizing. So who I am inside is me pushed out into the world. So you project everything, which means, for example, when you've seen someone who's having the best day ever, let's say they just got that big promotion, they're in a loving relationship, they feel like everything's going their way. That whole day, they're not going to be paying attention to that one mean comment or that one dirty look. They're only going to be noticing, 50 people called me to congratulate me and the promotion. Everything's working out for me. My partner loves me. And they're only going to notice the good things. So that's how they're feeling inside. They feel validated. They feel good. And they're only noticing the good things. So when I'm walking around saying, everyone's so hateful, I just can't handle it. Like, poor little me, I'm such an empath. Yeah. Well, if I'm only noticing how hateful everyone is, I must be a little hateful on the inside. And I'm purposely seeking all the hate.
You're looking for it.
I'm looking for it. I'm only
to validate
what I'm feeling inside. I'm being, and that was, for me, I was able to kind of be like, oh, that's why I'm paying more attention right now to everyone being hateful. I'm going on Reddit purposely to watch someone talk shit about me. It's not like anyone sent me the link. I'm going on it and I'm reading things. So
that's what we always call it on this podcast, and my therapist calls it shopping for pain. Yeah. You're going looking for it.
Well, it's because there's a whole scientific thing behind it with your brain. And your brain is the most important, not the most important organ in your body, but it's such a unique organ. And people don't realize. And your brain is on your team, but sometimes it will work against you.
Yeah, I always say, why though? Because when it works against me, I go, brain, I thought we were on the same team.
Well, because they're not functioning on emotions. It's just kind of whatever you say, they do. So that's why we don't realize how much our words and our thoughts become reality. But if you keep saying something over and over again, including liars, you see someone that you consider a narcissist or a pathological liar, and you think they must know that they're constantly just talking out of their ass. But eventually they say enough lies, they start to believe it. And it's the same thing when you keep thinking, everyone's so hateful, everyone hates me, I'm a loser, I'm nothing. Your brain picks it up, ding, 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 and it goes, okay, let me help you with that. I'm going to help you validate that. So your brain will suddenly pay more attention in order to validate every single person that thinks you're a loser. And your brain will also accidentally go back in your memories. So the thing about our memories, that we think we have all these beautiful memories, you forget them like this. So when you go back into memories, it's basically a tiny little memory of how you felt. You remember how something made you feel. And then it's your brain filling in the rest of it. So that means depending on your mood that day or what you're going through in life, you will have a different reality of that memory. So you can have a beautiful memory from your past that was so beautiful, and for years you used to go back to that memory and you felt loved. And then finally, for the last 6 months, you've been going through pain. And that one person that used to love you, that memory you don't feel loved by them anymore, and you feel like everyone else is against you. And you go back to that one beautiful memory that you always could go back to. But this time you go back and you say, wait, you know what? When that person said that they loved me, their tone was a little off. And suddenly your memory, and you're creating a false memory and you don't realize it. But you think, no, that's actually what it was. They actually didn't love you. You know what? You never loved me. You never cared about me. And you completely ruined this beautiful memory because you created a false narrative about it. And you believe that to be true. That's your reality. Because again, you, like the world and everything around you, is you pushed out.
Damn, that is so deep, but so true. I wish I could think, are you just a very curious person? Like everything you want to learn about and know about. And is it everything, or is it just like the brain, body, relationships? Like what, or is it everything? Are you curious about literally everything?
I wouldn't say, it would be really hard to be curious about literally everything and get as much knowledge on it. I think it's because I grew up, I come from a Russian household. So we didn't hug in my family. We never kissed. We never said I love you. That just wasn't a thing in my household. And I think around when I became an adult and I created also daddy issues, which helped me find myself thanks to the people who were following, and I felt so connected to them. It kind of gave me a purpose, not just a purpose to want to help people, but it gave me a purpose where I realized that I don't have to be stuck in a non-loving family, and I don't have to be, just because there's generational trauma, I don't have to be okay with it. And it made me want to change the generational trauma in my family. Cycle. And it made me then want to learn and better understand how to love better and better understand myself. So that's why I started diving into all these things, yes, on my podcast, because I do that research. But it's literally because I didn't grow up with understanding my feelings or thinking my feelings were allowed. Yep. And I'm still very harsh in that regard. Like, you can tell I can be very stoic. Yeah. But now not only have I been able to change the dynamic in my family, we hug now, we kiss. I kiss my parents in the mouth, which my sister thinks is super weird.
I love that for you. My dad still does all the time.
My sister goes, kids normally kiss their parents in the mouth. Like, people normally kiss their parents in the mouth because they started that as children. You don't start that in your 30s. That's weird.
I like it.
Yeah.
Especially if you, like, that's a big drastic change to go from not hugging, not kissing, not saying I love you, and that you were able to shift that dynamic in your family. Yeah. How did you do that? Like, at what point in your life were you like, I'm going to break the cycle and I'm going to change this and I'm going to bring my family together? How did you have that in you?
Well, I think daddy issues really in a lot. Yeah. It's funny because I had daddy issues. That's why I created that account.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
which blew up.
And then, but luckily because of my pain ended up being my strength. Yeah. And
because you built community around it.
Yes, I built a community and I started to learn just how misfits all of us are. Yeah. And everyone in this world feels very unique in their emotions and their experiences and all that. And then I think we try so hard to take away those experiences from other people by reading a book by its cover. Yeah. And I think because Daddy Issues was anonymous for over a year, it allowed me to really show people how similar we all are with our issues. And I don't know, I think after that, I just started getting the courage I just told myself, I love my dad. Yeah. And I'm realizing now, I started learning more about him. Yeah. And when I started learning more about him, I started to see the child in my dad, and which sounds so silly, but
it doesn't sound silly at all. Well, for me, who does like child work all the time, I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, I started to see kind of the child in my father. Yeah. And realizing his story and his history, I kind of clicked, wait, my dad had daddy issues. Yeah. Like, he had a really bad relationship with his dad, and then his dad, we're from Russia, so I don't know. I shouldn't laugh when I say the story about my family, but I think laughter just helps with horrific situations. But my dad's dad, he was an alcoholic. Yeah. During the wars, when Russians go to the army, they had to serve. In Russia, it's really cold, so they would give a shot of vodka every morning to the soldiers in order to keep warm. Yeah. And I think they would take between 1 to a few shots. So a lot of the soldiers, when they finish the war, when they get out of the army, they become alcoholics. Of course. That's where the whole joke comes from, with Russians not being alcoholics. So his father was a big alcoholic, and he was also cheating on his mother nonstop. Yep. And he was spending all the money on alcohol and other women. And then he also was kind of had a business, but I guess it was a bit shady because back then, during the Soviet Union, as a Jew, you couldn't really have a business. Mm-hmm. So when they found out, he got sent to jail in Siberia and for being a Jew with a business. And in Siberia jails were kind of known as the worst type of jails to be in. Usually they send the worst criminals or the Jews there. So when he got sent there on his last day at the prison, when my dad was around 17, the prison guards beat him up to death for being a Jew. And he was a vegetable for a couple of days, and then he died. And then a bunch of thugs came to the apartment where my dad and his mother lived, and they were like, your dad owes us money. Where's the money? And my dad said, look where we live. Does it look like we have any money? And during communism, the Soviet Union, when you think poor, you don't realize Soviet Union poor. Right. Communism for them meant that it's not like they only shared an apartment with other families. Basically, each family, you get a room. So you get on the list for everything. That's why there was people starving. Even if you wanted milk and you had the money to buy milk, you're, let's say, number 36. So you have to wait.
I remember hearing this from Artem when during Dancing with the Stars, he would tell me some of these stories. I remember hearing this. Okay, continue. Yes.
So you have to wait until you're number 36, number 152, whatever it is. Yes. Everything goes through the government. So when you're very poor, like my father was, not only do you share an apartment with another family, it's not an apartment, it's a room. So you get, let's say right now, the room we're in, each family gets a corner, and that's how you live. So my dad and his mom and his father would share one corner of a room, and then there's 3 other families in the room, and that's your place. Wow. And that's how poor they were. And after that, my dad swore to never be like his father. Yeah. And he swore to support his children, future children, financially, and always put a roof over their head. That's it.
And that's how he was showing you.
Provided from my sister and I, which I never realized back then because I just, I always felt like he didn't like me because every time I walk into a room, he would just get uncomfortable and leave.
Yeah.
Because we had nothing in common.
Oh. So what is your relationship with him now?
For me, I think we're very close, but everyone has different definitions of closeness. For me, I see my parents every other weekend.
Yeah.
And we play games and hang out and we laugh. And it's really cute. And
wait, that is amazing. And what did he think when you got success from having an account about daddy issues?
Right. But now he's really proud of it.
Yeah.
But basically,
because you've turned it into something important.
Exactly. When I started working on my relationship with him, it was more, I love my dad. I want him to know that, and I don't want another day to go by.
Yeah.
Because I used to hate him to the point that I remember I used to always say, when I move out, remember this face, this will be the last time you ever see this face.
Yeah.
Because we had the type of relationship that, when you're, I'm sure a lot of foreigners can relate, your parents sometimes use their hands to punish you. And it's not just words. It's not like in American families when they go in the corner. They can beat you and things like that. So I just said, remember this face because once I leave, you will never see me again. I hate you.
Yeah.
That's how I always felt.
Wow.
And then finally I just said, okay, I love him. I want him to know that he could be gone tomorrow. Yeah. And I will regret it. So what if I tried? And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to be okay for the first time with rejection. I don't care if he rejects me because at least he'll know that I love him.
Wow.
Yeah, and that really helped me.
I mean, that's powerful.
And I started doing that, and it worked. But look, when I tell this story, of course, it's beautiful, but it didn't happen overnight. It happened through a whole year.
Yeah. And
also that whole year, it's not like that year I worked on myself, and now I love myself, and I'm perfect.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing of loving yourself and understanding yourself and the people around you, it's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
But I think the way all relationships will work in your life, whether it's platonic relationships or romantic relationships, I believe the key to that is to never stop being curious about the people that you love.
Okay, apartments.com has more rental listings than anywhere else. So finding the perfect place is easier than ever, and so is finally moving in together. Just the two of you. It's a really big step, lots of new responsibilities, lots of adjustments. Most likely they'll wake you up at odd hours to go to the bathroom, and you'll most definitely find yourself in trouble coming home late for dinner. They might even unroll all of your toilet paper next time. It's just what happens when you two find a new place together. But you're not doing it because you feel like it. No, you're doing it because you love them, because they're family. And that's why apartments.com has the most pet-friendly rental listings on the internet, so that you and your furry family can find the perfect new place together. Apartments.com, the place to find a pet-friendly place. All right, everybody, close your eyes and picture this. Not if you're driving, but picture this. Rooftop infinity pool, crafted cocktails, cool cuisine, chill vibes. Sound like vacation goals? I think so. Hyatt Vivid Grand Island in Cancun is waiting. Experience Mexico's all-new, all-inclusive, adults-only resort and live your best life. Try a hands-on macrame making class, make friends at our boho chic beach club, or take in the views from the longest rooftop pool in Cancun. Visit HyattVividResorts.com for awesome grand opening rates. That's HyattVividResorts.com.
Like, how are you so good at knowing about relationships? Like, how is it just because you get curious and do research, or have you like taken a course on, like, I just feel like you're so good at relationship advice.
I read a lot of books about it.
You do?
I read a lot of books about it and about our human emotions and things like that.
Yeah, like you know so much about it. Even the other day I was texting you about something and everything you said back, I was like, holy shit, that just changed my whole perspective.
That's so nice, really?
No, yes. Oh my God, you helped me
that.
so much in that moment.
Aww.
Yes. No, it was amazing.
I read a lot about it, and I think, in general, for my podcast, whenever I cover a topic, I don't really focus as much on my opinion or life experience. Sometimes I'll give my life experience as an example, but it's more in the research. And the research that I do, whether it's the books that I'm reading or the TED Talks I'm listening, I look for the experts. So even when I'm giving dating advice for women, and then, men can shit on me on the internet, my dating advice are not from books that I read written by women.
Right.
It's written by men. So it's dating books, how to date a man, written by a man.
Right. What do you think like the biggest misconception is about love and dating?
Well, the fact that people think that relationships are supposed to be easy always. I also think I still think this way, and I have to tell myself that it's not. But relationships take work where both people have to show up. This is where we get mixed up. Yeah. Because I always said relationships are supposed to be easy. So the smallest conflict that I have with a partner, I immediately think, okay, something's wrong. Yeah. I don't want to do this. That's always my instinct. And I never realized until recently, actually, that the reason that's always been my thought process is because growing up, I've never watched my parents fight because they would hide it from us. They thought in our family it's very inappropriate to do that.
Right.
I remember at one point, when I was older and I was talking to my mom and she goes, yeah, you know, when we first moved to the States, I was 14. Your father, honestly, he was so annoying. He was annoying me. I was considering divorcing him. So I started looking at places. But then, a couple of months with him, everything worked out. And, and she just said it so casually over biscuits or tea. And I go, I'm sorry. You were thinking of divorcing my father?
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
Because I've never seen them fight.
Right.
And I realized that is why when I have a conflict with a partner, I just freeze and I go, this is not
this is not
what it's supposed
to be. Yeah.
And I think when we say relationships are supposed to be easy, this is where we confuse it. Relationships are easy when both partners want to show up every single day. And both partners want to make it work, then it is easy.
Yeah.
That's what it means when they say relationships are supposed to be easy.
Yeah, okay.
They're not easy when it's just one of us who shows up every single day and I'm begging you to care and you don't care. And at the end of the day, you should tell people how they need to love you. That's one thing that I will always say. And when I had Jay Shetty on my podcast before, he said that, and I love that, and I believe in that. Tell people
how they should
love you. Don't punish them for not knowing.
Yeah.
But there's only so many times you can tell them. I believe in just saying it twice. If I need you to love me in this certain way or to do this for me or I told you something hurts my feelings, I will say it twice. After that, I'm not repeating myself again. Because now I've given you the opportunity to love me the way I need to be loved.
Yeah.
So now there's no excuse. So now you're just not showing up because you don't want to. Before, maybe you didn't know. I don't do it more than twice.
Are you dating anyone?
Not right now.
Right.
I just started thinking about dating again, which is good for me.
That's good.
Yeah. I started thinking about dating again.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I'm so focused on, I would say recently I started to process that my biggest fear in love is that, you know how a lot of people, they have a big fear. What if no one loves me, blah, blah.
Yeah.
My biggest fear recently I've noticed in love is that what if I get so comfortable being alone that I won't need anyone ever?
I think like that sometimes.
Yeah, because I'm so comfortable now being alone, and I forget about dating. And it's not that I'm lacking suitors. I feel like sometimes I talk like I'm in the 30s or 40s.
Like the 1930s, right? The suitors.
Right. It's not that I'm lacking suitors. A lot of guys like me and are interested in me, but it's my lack of interest, I think, at times. But recently I was kind of interested in someone, and I've never experienced this, but I guess this goes with all the advice that I've given. So it was hilarious for me to finally experience it, where the guy was too busy. Literally, all I said was like, let's FaceTime.
Yeah.
And he was too busy he was just had such a busy schedule.
Yeah.
And he just like couldn't FaceTime me. And I suggested it twice.
Oh.
And after that, it made me laugh because, no one's busier than a guy that doesn't want you.
That's so true.
Right?
That's so true.
These guys end up they're busier than the president.
Yeah. And they cannot find the time.
I mean, he couldn't find the time to FaceTime me. Because he goes, yeah, we can FaceTime eventually, sometime. And, after the second time I said that, obviously I didn't experience it before, but because I removed my ego from it, I just said, you know what? Let's cut it here.
Yeah.
And he just goes, whoa, why? What do you mean? Why can't we just allow things to flow? And when it comes our time to meet, then we shall meet. Whatever. I don't know what he said. And I said, that sounds great for you. That's not going to.
Yeah.
Well,
good for you.
Because I think a lot of times when someone doesn't want us, we do this whole thing of, do you know who I am? Or like, guys would die to love me, blah, blah. It's not personal.
Yeah.
If a guy is not ready to date, it doesn't matter how amazing you are or if you have a dragon in your backyard, he's not going to want to date you.
That's how I felt on The Bachelor. So I was like, why are all these girls freaking out about they didn't get enough time? He doesn't want the time with you. He would make sure that you got that date or that time if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So if somebody else goes and takes his time and you're like, wow, that could have changed the whole trajectory for me. I didn't get to tell my story. And if he wanted to date you and spend that time with you, he would have. He just would have preferred this, or it's also a TV show. But I always was like I won't get upset about it because if he wants me on that date.
If he wants you. But I'm also talking regarding the guys who just are not looking to date. You know how there's guys on dating apps who are actually not looking to date?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them there.
Yeah, I've heard this.
So that's what I thought it was. So I didn't take it personally. I could have, because it was finally the first person I
Hard to not take things personally.
From all the other guys that liked me, I wasn't interested.
I've never been on a dating app. It's very intriguing to me, though. But, like, I always want to know in this world, like modern dating, navigating modern dating is like social media, online dating apps. Like, do you think just try it all?
I have a question.
Okay.
This is silly. Okay. What's the youngest or what's the oldest and youngest that you would go for in a guy?
Okay, so the other day I hung out with the Montana boys.
Okay.
And I know everybody gives Kristen Cavallari such a hard time because he's 24 and she's like 36 with 3 kids. And I just don't understand that because I'm like, there are 24-year-olds who are more mature than a 40-year-old. There are people that are like old souls and really nice. And he seemed like such a nice, good, raised right gentleman. But everyone shits on him because he's 24 and they lip sync on TikTok. But they were so nice. So I'm like, okay, 24 doesn't have to be what's 24 in my brain because I judge it on what I was like at 24. And I would never want to date someone like me when I was 24.
Yeah.
So youngest I would go, I don't know. Like, okay, 25 seems really young to me. But if they had been through life, if they have lived life and gone through hard times and they really know who they are and where they're going and feel established and are polite, I would give them a chance.
Wow.
But I would prefer someone in their 40s.
Yeah, I feel that I have this 5-year gap, but I tend to go for younger guys.
You do?
Which is embarrassing because I give all this wise dating advice, and then I secretly like younger guys.
What's behind that? Do you know what it is?
I'm more attracted to them.
Yeah, okay.
They
like
have
physically?
a more physically, and then they have a more playful personality. But I tried one time to go for a 6.5-year gap.
Yeah.
And I think, and I never understood what people talked about. Oh, you don't date someone younger and all that. I'm like, that's so silly. But then I recall last year I was dating a guy. He was a model.
Yeah.
And he was 6.5. Let's see. Last year I was 34.
Do people know who you were dating?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's something I always keep very private.
I do know that about you, yeah.
Unless something's already out there, then I'll discuss it.
That's exactly. I want to be very private now too. Okay.
Just is the one thing I have.
Yeah.
So last year I was 34 and he was 28.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So
that's so cute.
6 years.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I felt really weird about our age gap because it was, well, not because I care what other people will say. It was more, are we really on the same wavelength? And then one night we're talking on the phone and he starts telling me about like all the different career paths he can go and I mean, yeah, I can make t-shirts. Yeah, I was talking to my friend and like we can make these plaques or I can study this and I can just like do stocks. And it was just, he sounds so excited too. And I just remember I was on the phone and go, oh yeah, that's fun. That's exciting. Oh my God, yeah, that's nice. And when I was talking like that, I thought, oh my God, I caught myself that I felt like a mother. So in that moment,
you do that, honey. That sounds really fun.
Okay,
that's how you make those t-shirts.
Like the fact that on the phone, he sounds so enthusiastic, and I want to be happy for him. I was like, oh yeah. That was my tone. I thought, okay, maybe a 28-year-old is not for me.
Yeah,
I will go youngest now, 30.
Okay, yeah. 25 would be like shocking if I ever did that. Like I do prefer 40s.
Well, for Kristen, she has 3 kids. In my opinion, that's more, you've earned it. You want to date a younger guy. The same way men do once they have the children and they're done with producing more kids.
Totally.
They just want to have that beautiful arm candy. I don't understand. Why can't women do it when men do it all the time?
I mean, I always say that, especially with her. He's not like some dumb 24-year-old who doesn't know what he's doing in life. Like, he's actually so sweet and he treats her so well.
That's so important.
And they're so fun and they have a blast together and they are sweet and they can't keep their hands off of each other. And I'm just like, how cool for her. Like, that's so fun.
Yeah, I'm obviously looking for someone. I'm looking for someone to bear my children.
You are in the 40s.
But it's the opposite. I would bear their kids. So that's why I don't want them to be 28. But I don't know what it is. I wish I understood, but I'm more attracted to younger guys than I am to older guys.
What about deal breakers? Do you have those?
Deal breakers?
Yeah.
I definitely need someone that's passionate about their career.
Okay.
I like to take it slow with people. I feel that when I've tried to date in the past, not only do I feel suffocated where they want commitment so fast, which makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, this is where I think my Russian issues come in that I've been working through, obviously.
Yeah.
Where need to work through my community. I don't even like titles.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. I usually say partner and things like that.
Yeah.
But what are your deal breakers?
I mean, mine change all the time. I mean, I think the same thing, like career. I really want somebody to be established and passionate about their career and not want to be famous.
Yeah. I also like men who are assertive.
Yeah.
And I like men who are a guy who's a man of few words.
Ah.
I prefer that because I can talk for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't like to have a partner where we are accidentally competing with one another,
Yeah,
overpowering
me
each
too.
other. Like, I have no problem having a partner where, like, I love living in my partner's shadow. Like, I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
where we respect each other enough, where
Yeah.
tonight's my night, 2 days later it's his night, and I'm just supporting him. I'm not there to make it about me, and he does the
Yes.
same with me.
Yes.
My ex-boyfriend that I was with for 7-8 years,
Yeah.
he was so outgoing, and sometimes it got to the point where it was exhausting to be around him. Like, he
Yes.
always needed to be. I mean, okay, here's an example. Remember, we're in our this was like early 20s,
Yeah.
so it's gonna sound really bad. So give him a break,
Give him a break. You're still
because you have to remember people's ages when
Yeah,
you're gonna say something. So it's gonna sound obnoxious. But when we were dating, and obviously the reason I was so drawn to him, he had daddy issues. Like,
Yeah.
all the guys I've dated have daddy issues. His father passed away, just like my father's dad did. Right, his father passed away when he was around 17, the guy that I was dating, and he took over his dad's business. So he was kind of taking care of his family, and he had loads of money, and he was always switching up cars. And this one day, and he just really liked everything to be lavish. Hence
Right.
why he got this blonde girl on his arm. And I think that's why he liked having me around, to be honest, whatever. So we were in his convertible, whatever car he had at the time. I forget it, Maserati or CL. I don't know. I don't know car names, but
Some
SL, either an
S5X,
SL Mercedes or,
yeah.
because I forget, he had so many different cars
Yeah.
that he kept swapping.
Yeah.
So we were in his car. And by the way, just to make a point, I grew up poor. So
Oh, so
I
this
don't
was
want-
like fun for you?
for me, it was cool to date someone that had all this money because
Yeah.
I looked up to him
Totally.
in a way where I want to be like him.
Yeah.
Not in a way
Not
where
you're like, I
wanna
want
be
to
his
take your money.
wife. I'm like, I want to be like
yeah,
you when I grow
yeah,
up.
yeah. Yeah.
So we were in his car, and then he goes, okay, we're going to meet up with my friend really quick, but just be really nice to him because his mom just died and his girlfriend just dumped him. So, like, don't rub anything in his, like, just be kind to him. And I go, oh, okay, cool, good to know. And then we walk up to the car, to his friend's car, and my boyfriend puts his arm around me. And then he goes like, oh, what's up? How is it? And the guy's like, I'm just trying to get by. Oh, and then my boyfriend puts his arm around me and he goes, well, my life's amazing. Like, my business is killing it. Like, I got the baddest girl on my arm. Like, look at her. I mean, amazing. Look at this new car that I just got. Like, life is crazy, man. Am I right? And I remember I was just like,
You're like, idiot.
right. But that's just how he was. When we would go, let's say we go clubbing, he would get a table and then he would bring like stacks of cash
No.
and just like
No.
throw it. And you know what I would do?
Pick it up.
I would pick it up and I'll keep it for later because I was like, we're probably gonna get in a fight and he's not gonna give me a ride home and I don't have a car, so I need to pay for a cab. And and it was like a bunch of wands. I remember one time in a cab I was paying and the guy was like looking at me all weird and I go, I swear this isn't like, I'm not a stripper. It's just my boyfriend has so much cash. And he goes, okay.
Okay. Either story's weird though. Not that it's weird to be a stripper, but like either way, it's like I'm not a stripper. It's just my boyfriend throws around ones all the time.
Yeah, but I think it sounds, maybe to other people in other states, it sounds weird, but I feel that anyone that knows like the Persian community in Beverly Hills, that was so that.
Really?
Like you throw money at clubs. But to me, that was a lot. So I think, and when we would fight,
Oh, really?
Like my dad one time was taking me somewhere and I remember I was on the phone with my ex, my boyfriend at the time, again, 20s, early 20s, mid-20s, early 20s, whatever. And he just was telling me, he was yelling through the phone. He goes, you better hope I never see you because I'm going to run you over with my car. And I said, well, you better pray that you kill me. When you run me over, you pray that you kill me because if I survive, I'm coming after you and I'm ruining your life. And,
Oh my God.
and my dad was mortified. And he went to my mother and he said, Allah, I'm worried about Violetta. The way they yell, it's not normal. And I remember, but then that's when my mom taught me something very important. And she said, I know you're having fun and you think it's great, the toxic stuff. And but she goes, a relationship starts after you get married. So before you get married, that's not the hardships. that's where it's supposed to be, quote unquote, easy.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to fight often.
Yeah.
And by fighting, it means that you don't fight because you have conflict resolution immediately. Fighting is when you just go opposite ways. You fight to break up versus fight to come together. And she said, dating is where it's supposed to be easy because marriage is where it gets hard because you have bills, you have family, you have all this stuff. So if you can't survive this, it will never work for you in the future.
So you've seen some red flags in your day.
I'm so glad I had that relationship. I mean, I wish it didn't last as long as it did.
Yes.
I had a hard time leaving.
Yeah.
But I look back now, I laugh at all these things. I'm not upset. There's no heartbroken that he was cheating on me or whatever it is. Like, to me, it just seems, I loved how toxic it was back then. Because I was toxic. I loved how we would fight.
Yeah.
You know, I was obsessed with him. He was my everything. And I think after that also, in my 30s, when I was finally no longer with him, I started looking back in a way where maybe that did make me completely pull away from relationships. Because the way I lost myself in him, I said, I never want to be like that again. Because it got to the point when he would dump me, I could not get out of bed.
Yeah.
Like, I was just waiting for us to be okay for me to function.
Yeah.
And knowing that that's how I used to be, I felt so disgusted with myself, which is such a terrible feeling to feel. And I just said, I never want to feel like that again. So after that, I just never really got close to people.
That's same thing, having a best friend die, and then I was so obsessed with somebody and they broke up with me and I didn't want to get out of bed and I became so depressed. I literally wanted to die. And I was like, I will never feel this feeling again. And I do the same thing where I'm like, I will never lose myself in love again.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying.
It's hard, but I think when we are closed off to those type of things because we're so scared of getting hurt, if you really think about it, yes, you can protect yourself because you won't get hurt again. You won't get too close, but then you also won't get to experience a new level of love.
Yeah.
You won't get to experience someone being there for you.
Yeah.
There's so many other moments, amazing moments you won't get to experience. And actually the other day, I did this amazing episode that I was so proud of.
Good.
I loved it. It's about, the episode is called, Is Your Happiness a Problem? But it's about how happiness and suffering correlates. Like, you need suffering. It's about a dive into if humans, in order to survive, need to suffer.
To feel joy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's so true because you
that
won't
is
actually
true.
be able to understand happy moments without, first experiencing the sad ones, because that's how you're able to be like, okay, today's a really good day because today I was depressed for 6 months and today I finally showered.
Yeah.
Today, I laughed for the first time.
Yeah.
And those little moments that no one else will understand, you will understand because you know what it was like to be your lowest, so you can experience those happiness. But then, of course, you look at people out there who you think are terrible people and they've never experienced hardship, and you say, well, that's not fair. They're so happy, like they don't deserve to be happy. But it means that because if they never experience hardships, they will never be able to experience the level of joy and happiness and feelings that you will in their life.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because also at the same time, I know now I'm not who I was in that relationship. Now I'm in a place where I knew I was not okay without him, and now I know I'm okay no matter what. So I have to remember that that was however many years ago and that I'm now okay and have done so much therapy and work on myself and know myself and love myself so much more than I ever did. So it's a complete different situation. So I should open myself up and completely like surrender to being in love because I know that if it doesn't work, I will be okay because I already survived that.
Yeah. But the whole word of I should do this, blah, blah. I think in the end of the day, it's all about if we're not opening. I used to also feel guilty when I would talk to my therapist. Oh, I should have been more this. I should have done this. But what if there's a reason why you didn't open up to that specific person? What if you didn't feel safe? Your nervous system was being right. Yeah. Your nervous system did say, ding, 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 there's an issue here.
Yeah.
I don't feel safe with this person. I don't feel, because I've had those moments where I've been working on being more honest with my feelings, let's say even with a friend, and I finally shared how something makes me feel.
Yeah.
And the reaction back was, well, no one has ever said that to me, and blah, blah, blah. And it completely got shut down.
Yeah.
And then I felt guilty for ever saying anything.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when I was learning more about the nervous system, it's when I realized, oh, that moment should have taught me that it's not safe for me to be with this around this person. Meaning, not that like, oh my God, I'm in danger.
Right.
It's not safe, meaning we're not compatible friendship-wise. Mm-hmm. And I tried to explain something that bothered me. And instead of taking that feedback and discussing how they're feeling and so on, they immediately shut it down and making me feel terrible. Like, and then the person compared me to her mother, who she has a very bad relationship with, that she can't stand.
Yeah.
So she said, only my mother ever says stuff like that. So okay.
Yeah.
So that told me, great. My nervous system is not safe around this person.
Yeah.
That's the truth, and I'm not going to feel guilty for expressing myself.
Yeah.
So that's really what it means. And let's say you start to date again, and you're dating someone, and you say, I would love if we can just take it a little slower.
Yeah.
And the other person goes, I mean, no one has ever said something like that to me. I feel like I've never had this issue. Like girls are just like, what if you just open your mind up? You're so strict, or you're so old fashioned. You're being so silly.
Yeah.
Then your nervous system will tell you, ding, 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 it's not safe. They're not hearing me.
Yeah.
Versus if you were with a partner that said, oh, yeah, take your time.
Yeah.
Let's take it slow. Like, I want to be on your pace. We're on the same pace. You're probably going to have sex with him that night. Because your body feels safe.
It's true.
Okay, guys, let me put you on to something. A little hot tip, if you will, from one big wine guy to another. If you're going to drink wine in any amount, you need to be drinking one that is low sugar. High sugar content in wine is the main culprit for hangovers, and nobody's got time for that. So next time the mood strikes for a nice crisp glass of vino, pick up a bottle of Spade and Sparrows. All 4 varietals are low sugar, made in California, and of course female founded by yours truly. You can locate your nearest bottle today by visiting spadeandsparrows.com/in-store. All 4 Spade and Sparrows varietals are crowd pleasers, I promise, super easy drinking, and of course low sugar. Find Spade and Sparrows in the wine aisle at Target in Florida, Texas, Georgia, Ohio, Oklahoma, Louisiana, or various other retailers across the U.S., or shop online at spadeandsparrows.com. And of course, my Vino community can use code OFFTHEVINE to receive 15% off your first order. Spade and Sparrows, great wine without the rules.
Let me ask you this. If you could give one piece of unconventional dating advice that has worked for you, what would it be?
One piece of unconventional advice that has worked for me?
Yeah.
Well, one piece of unconventional advice to DM the guy that you think is hot.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Just go after it?
I think I always say let the guy pursue you.
Yeah.
But it's okay in the beginning to let a man know that you're interested.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you want to DM someone, I think that's one unconventional advice. Just let them know that you're interested.
Yeah.
But then you have to take a step back and allow them to pursue you. My second piece, I guess, of unconventional dating advice, it would be sometimes in the beginning of dating, I like to just throw out what I like a guy to do for me, or like some date idea that's a little silly, just to see if they would do it. And then they do it. And that's how I can tell whether or not a guy really likes me.
That's good advice.
So I don't normally go like on a dinner. Like
Yeah.
normally, let's say one guy went on a date with, and I just go, okay, I want to go to an escape room.
Yeah.
So the guy goes, okay, great. Which one? And I said, well, that's for you to figure out. Let me know when
Yeah.
you figure it out.
Yeah.
So then they have to do the research
Oh my
to
God.
find like a good escape room, book it and all that. And then it's a fun way for us to get to know each other, or like another time. I said, I want to go to a museum and then play dominoes and this other game there. So this guy just went to, and it's not expensive, crazy expensive
No.
dates either. But
I don't want to go karaoke.
yeah, it's just fun dates. And
Yeah.
I like to kind of throw out those outlandish. Oh
Yeah.
my God, so crazy. But like ideas like that. And then I get to see if the person is how interested they are in me.
Yeah, because they would probably do whatever you say if that's...
Yeah. And you don't realize, but in the beginning, you can just throw a lot of things out there and you can just see how they take it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, guys want to impress you. Also,
Yeah.
if you walk around thinking that way, that will help you.
Yes.
Like, guys want to impress me. Guys want to date me. I just tell myself that. So then in the beginning, I say, I like a guy who pursues me. I like a guy. And I say, okay, here's an idea. I don't understand why women will go on a first date, and on their first date, they just go, yeah, my ex was so terrible to me. I mean, he treated me like shit, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Girl, what are you doing? You
Yeah.
are literally letting the guy on the date with you know the threshold of how well he's allowed to treat you before
that's
you
true.
leave. So if you're telling me your ex-boyfriend
That's true.
was a shithead and called you once a week and it took you out on a date once a month, you're telling me, okay, so if I call you twice a week and
I'm
take
gonna
you out
be- yeah.
twice a month,
Yeah.
we're good.
You're literally setting your own bar and not setting yourself up for success.
It's not you lying, but it's okay for you to withhold some information.
Yeah.
I always go on dates and I go, what happened to you and your exes? You know, they're all great guys.
Yeah.
They treat me great. It just, we weren't a match.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for my match.
Yeah.
They don't need to know my ex was cheating on me, but like,
Right.
that's not his, I don't know the guy.
Yeah,
So
that's
if-
your stuff, not his.
No, but at one point, I really wanted men to start sending me flowers because
Yeah.
I never got them before.
Yeah.
Rarely.
Yeah.
And so I started saying it when I started dating again. I said, guys, just always send me flowers. I'm very old fashioned. I love when guys send me flowers. They always send me flowers like before the date.
Yeah.
I like when they pick me up, the dinner, all that. And then guys started sending me flowers. Like before the date, I get bouquet of roses and flowers with like, can't wait for a date.
Oh,
It's so sweet.
Do you think your confidence comes from life experience, or have you always been like this, or is it because you're a Scorpio, or what's happening?
I think it's just fake it till you make it type of thing.
Yeah.
My confidence, because my confidence doesn't stem from my looks, even though obviously, of course, I'm not going to lie. Of course, I care about the way I look.
I mean, you're beautiful.
It's really nice. Thank you.
You are.
But that's only because I'm in the public eye.
Yeah.
So of course I care about it. But because my confidence, I learned a couple of years ago how to not base my confidence on my looks. That's why I'm confident.
Yeah.
Because my confidence comes from within. And I have these moments where even me watching like a K-drama and crying over the K-drama and clapping. Like I have this thing where I see something I like, I clap.
Yeah.
And it can be silly for someone else, but just catching myself do it, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And it makes me fall in love a little bit with myself.
I love that.
That's why when the guy who was too busy to FaceTime me, it didn't break my ego. I laughed about it. I was like, yep, that checks out. Like, of course, no one's busier than a guy that's not into you. That's cool. I said, we're good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's fine. It didn't hurt me because I'm like, his loss.
Yeah.
He could have got to know me.
Yeah.
His loss. Okay.
I love it. You are like a true queen. I just feel
That's
like
really nice.
you are though. Like when you walked in, I was like, "He looks so cute." You're like, "I know."
I just think, why not love ourselves? We could die tomorrow, and I spent so many years hating myself. I was born with a birth defect where I've had veneers since I was 5.
Yeah.
I was chubby as a kid. I had acne on my face, chest, and back. Like I got bullied for being ugly. Then I got into my looks, and then I got bullied at work for being a little attractive. So I think just all those experiences has always made me, aside from not loving myself, it made me kind of steer clear from looks.
Yeah.
So that's why everything I've always done work-wise has been not about my looks, whether my meme account, anonymous for over a year.
Yeah.
My podcast, it's my voice.
Yeah.
I'm writing a book, that's my words.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of, because I know I'm not the most beautiful girl in the world. Like, I know I'm also not the smartest. I know I'm not the richest. I know I'm not the funniest. But I also know that if people don't appreciate what I have to offer, I'm just in the wrong room. I've learned that now.
Yeah.
And I just need to make it to the right room.
Yep.
And I also know that I may not be all those things to a lot of people, but as long as to the people who love me, I am that beautiful person. And you know what the most sweetest thing I was on TikTok.
Yeah.
And there was these podcasters, a man and a woman. And the woman made a comment saying to her husband or whatever he is, she said, I know you don't think I'm like the prettiest girl in the world. And like, that's fun because, you know, I think there's more to life. And he just got really serious. And he goes, I'm so sorry that for whatever reason I made you feel like you are not the most beautiful woman to me, but you are. You are the mother of my children. You are so giving. You're so loving. I've never met someone as beautiful as you. So you are actually the most beautiful woman to me. And I'll make sure to make that more known more often. And that was so sweet. And that is what that's about. It had nothing to do with looks.
Right.
Looks get you in the door. Yeah. It's not keeping you in the house.
So do you not do the comparison thing?
My weird thing with my growing up with my daddy issues made me competitive with men. Yeah. And not with women. So it's always, I used to want to be the best against men. Yeah. Until I realized that there's other ways to get what you want when you work with men or for men than having to be like harsh like them with the masculine energy. Yeah. So now when I want to get something from a man, it's going to sound terrible, but I just go into my feminine energy and I just go, you're just like, you're so smart. Can you just show me how to do it?
Oh my God. See, I'm like, so the opposite. I am like, I could do it on my own.
I gave up. Like, what was it? Yeah, I grew up poor and I constantly had to prove to everyone that I had money. And I watched my ex every time we broke up take some girl on vacation. And with me, God forbid, no, I will work for this and I'll afford it. What?
That is.
Please pay for me. Okay. You want to do it? Do it. I'm okay with it. I am
so masculine energy in that regard.
Well, it's hard when you are an independent woman. It's hard for you not to take your masculine energy into your relationships. But your feminine energy is not about how you dress. Just because I'm dressed feminine right now, it's not that.
Oh, I agree.
Feminine energy has to do with being able to take a seat back and allow things to come to you, allow people to come to you. I used to be in my masculine energy when I would date, and I'd be like, okay, so I want to do a date Saturday and this time and that. okay, great. Okay, so I guess when we get married, I'll be like, okay, so wedding is at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And let me call you and give you a heads up before the wedding so you don't forget. No, I take back, and that's why I said I like flowers. I like this. And the guys who don't do that, that's fine.
Yeah.
There's someone else out there. The same way I'm replaceable, so are you guys. Now men send me bouquets of flowers. This one guy recently I went on a date with. Here's what happened first. I told him I'm available next week on this day or that day. Mm-hmm. So this is the only times I'm available. And then he would wait like the day before the day of that specific day. And then he would say, okay, so are you still on? And I said, I'm so sorry. My schedule's booked up now. And he was like, come on, V. We know each other. We go way back. We've been friends for so long. Like, and I go, actually, it's because we know each other that I was giving you those days available. My schedule is really busy. I don't know how it works with other people, but I'm letting you know when I'm available.
Yeah.
So if you want to fill that spot, then like, I need you to plan things ahead of time.
Yeah.
That man heard me so quick that the next time I gave him a date, he prepared for that. And then the day before, 2 days before, he told me, okay, I booked 4 different restaurants. Which one do you prefer to go on the date with? And I was like, oh, okay. That's a new for me, but I'll pretend like that happens to me all the time.
See, like being in your feminine energy doesn't mean you can't be telling what you want either.
There's a difference, though, with how, because, for example, my friend really wanted a guy to open the car door for her.
Yeah.
So when he didn't, she said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't date men like this because what I deserve and what, and that just,
no.
How that's not going to get you what you want.
No. Like one of my girlfriends, he didn't open the door for the same situation. And she said to him, do you want advice like on like what would make me feel good? Aww. And he was like, yeah, of course. She was like, open the door for me. It would make me and he has ever since.
Exactly. That's so sweet. If you're like, you know what would be so sweet?
Yeah.
If you could just open the door for me, blah, blah.
Men do not. Well, nobody likes to be told like in an accusatory way.
And regarding the date stuff, it's not that I would say I was abrasive in any type of way. It's more, I didn't say anything. I just said, oh, I'm busy. And then when he tried to figure out why, I said, well, I gave you a schedule. That's
and you
just
know
when
me,
I'm available.
And
And of course, he stepped it up, which shows the men really can't step it up.
Yeah.
If they think you're worth it enough.
That's true.
But just because someone thinks you're hot, it doesn't mean they want to invest time in you either. So just FYI, a lot of times women are like, he was so into me for a whole 2 weeks, 2 months, what happened? Well, attention doesn't fade away in the beginning.
Yeah.
So if it starts to fade away, attention rises. So if it starts to fade away, it's because he was never that into you in the beginning.
Yeah, you got to take inventory on like how they're treating you consistently.
I think dating is hard in general for women and for men.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't know. At least I'm just getting back into the dating pool, so.
Oh, I honestly don't listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm putting yours in my repertoire because I do think you give really good advice, and I think you obviously, like I said before, you do your research, you read on it, you learn about it, you apply it into your life, and you learn from everything that you do, and then we get to hear it.
That's so nice.
From your podcast. So
I don't know how. I think I still struggle to take compliments. So of course I feel it's so sweet when anyone appreciates anything that you do.
Yeah.
So I'm always so touched, and then I'm like, oh, thanks.
I do the same thing. Yeah. But so tell everyone where they can listen to your what is the podcast? I'm sure everybody knows, but
thank you so much for having me. So my podcast is Almost Adulting. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and also Kaitlyn's coming on my podcast,
Finally.
or she already was on my podcast. I'm not sure when this airs. But but she's also going to be on mine, so definitely listen to it. So yeah, it's Almost Adulting, and you can find me, Violet Benson, on Instagram, and daddyissues_ if you're into memes. And then I have a book coming out, but I'm on chapter 10 right now.
Good for you. That's writing a book is hard.
Writing a book, it's taken a lot of my time. That's one of the reasons I haven't been dating.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to write it myself.
Yeah.
So
well, good for you.
That's what it's taking.
Holy shit, good for you. That is so impressive. Nobody does that.
I know, but I really want to continue writing books.
Yeah.
I want to get into fiction. I mean, so right now I'm writing nonfiction. I started sending fiction stuff, and my agent was like, what the is this? We just signed a contract for nonfiction.
So is it going to be about your life?
It's part self-help, part memoir.
Cool.
So it's about how not to be a victim in life.
Cool. I need
Yeah.
some help with that sometimes.
We'll see. I'm on chapter 10.
Yeah.
I have 13 chapters. Hopefully by the time I finish it, then with the publishing, it'll either come out end of this year or beginning of next year.
Cool. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And the fact that you're doing it by yourself is amazing.
I've always that's always been a thing of mine, especially because English is my third language, and I always felt not good at that.
Yeah. Well.
So being able to read all these books has really helped, I would say, my vocabulary.
Oh, I bet.
And writing.
Good job.
Thank you.
I think you're amazing. I
think
can't
you're
wait
too.
to come on your podcast.
Thank you.
I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now ending. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind a rating and review.